This is it. Okay. Sir Ronald Llamas, ito na, alam ko you're a very good person. I know you're very, speaking of good person, speaking of makabayan,
Tumaas yan, tumaas yan, tumaas
yan.
yan.
Oo nga pala, you're a UST person, di ba? Sorry, UP lang kami, mga ano lang, mga ano mo na.
Agnostic.
Ayan, hindi,
Atheist,
worse yung mga
agnostic.
yan ng worse. Kaya ako, taga Baguio ako, alam mo, probinsyano, raised with, all the Catholic values and all of that. Pagdating sa UP, culture shock talaga ako culture shock. Hindi, Ateneo na lang ako, sabi ko, culture shock. No, speaking of this, the Catholic Church hierarchy in the Philippines made a very, very important intervention in behalf of the West Philippine Sea. Did you see this coming? What is your understanding of this? Because I'm sure you know more than me about the Catholic hierarchy thinking and the logic behind what they're doing. Of course, ako personally as an outsider, I'm not surprised because I saw the Pope Francis, making very interesting, progressive interventions on many issues: climate change, wars in the Middle East, Gaza. Now, of course, on the same-sex issues, I know that's a little bit controversial for a lot of folks. But now you have the Catholic Church in the Philippines also making this very important intervention on the issue of West Philippine Sea. What do you think about this?
Last October, last November, last December, ngayong January and February, kung dadaan ka sa EDSA, may makikita kang huge billboards, electronic billboards, with two bishops, no? Na nakasign ng West Philippine Sea, nakaganyan sila, no? Sa yung pinakamalaking electronic billboard, no? Sa GA Tower yata 'yon, no? Doon sa kaya makikita mo na, for the first time, mga bishops na sa billboard, no? Advocating for support to our frontliners sa West Philippine Sea. Tapos nangyari yung Christmas convoy, first civilian convoy going into Ayungin, no? At kitang-kita mo sa media si Father Robert and another priest nagmimisa doon sa boat nung hinara sila ng People's Liberation Army Navy, no? Dalawang battleships, dalawang Coast Guard, no? At napilitan silang bumalik. Pero nung umiikot sila, nasa gitna sila ng misa. So, a Christmas convoy which was very religious, supported by a lot of bishops, ay bumiyahe papuntang BRP Sierra Madre, no? At nung 2 weekends ago, nagkaroon ng CBCP Assembly, Catholic Bishops Conference. Tingin ko isa sa napag-usapan diyan ay yung mga frontliners. Kaya the day after, naglabas yung 8 bishops, no? Led by Archbishop Soc Villegas, Bishop Pabilio from Palawan, naglabas sila ng statement. Dalawa yung mahalaga sa statement na yan. Una, dapat trabaho ng gobyerno na suportahan yung ating mga frontliners, especially yung mga fishermen sa West Philippine Sea, no? Pero yung ikalawa ay very intriguing, no? It is morally necessary, no, na humingi ng tulong sa ating mga friends,
Aliado,
no?
alliances.
Sa
Yeah,
ating
if
mga
diplomacy
kaalyado,
fails.
no? Na hindi lang siya dapat, it is morally permissible na humingi ng tulong. Pagamat, in-emphasize naman nila na not for war, no? Pero humingi ng tulong para protektahan yung atin, no? Kaya very pregnant with meaning yung statement na yan. At kung makikita ko yung direction yan, hindi yan dyan matitigil, no? Ang alam ko nga, may ilang mga obispo gustong gumawa ng pastoral letter to be read, no, sa mga churches nila, no? Kaya this is a new moment ng scaling up, no?
Interesting. Yeah.
Sa West Philippine issue dito sa ating simbahan. At alam ko, ditong parating na Easter, magkakaroon naman ng Easter convoy from Christmas convoy. So hindi ito nagtatapos itong convoy na ito, itong mga activities na ito from civil society, from the church, no? May bagong dynamic na nake-create. Na tingin ko ay hindi na magpapatuloy, no? Hindi lamang this year, kung hindi even beyond. Kaya sa akin mahalaga yung statement na yan. Not only because ito yung una na talagang naglabas ng statement yung simbahan, kung hindi, no, yung iniiwasan ng iba o debate pa mismo within the progressive movement, within the left, na morally permissible na humingi ng tulong sa mga kaibigang bansa na tutulungan tayong depensahan ang ating West Philippine Sea kung hindi natin kaya, no? Kung nabasa mo yung letter, no?
Ronald, let me say
Hmm.
something because you were part of the Aquino administration. You were his political advisor. And alam mo naman, sa RH bill issue, di ba? Medyo mahidwaan talaga with the Catholic Church. And I remember there were days na Risa Hontiveros, Senator Hontiveros, was singled out by some of the folks in the church, because of her advocacy for RH bill. And this was from the position of the church. This was something immoral. This was something, abhorrent, right? Unacceptable. And well, eventually nanalo ang estado sa mga issue na yan. And what we also see over the past decade or so is the rise of evangelist groups, for the lack of better term. All of these different religious groups na may block voting, or at least DAO, may block voting power and all. Is the Catholic Church still powerful? Or you could say, it may not be as powerful as before, but it's going through a transition process, accepting the new realities and new era as we see with Pope Francis and adjusting accordingly. I know for a fact that there were a lot of people sa ating simbahan who had really profound moments of reflections after 2022 elections. Because I think the church more or less was aligned against both Digong and, to a certain degree, I would say BBM also. And yet, you saw the people voting in certain directions. So I think that also encouraged some sort of soul searching, just as Pope Francis there in Vatican was also overseeing some transformational paradigmatic discussions or shifts or paradigm shifts dyan sa Vatican. Again, I'm saying this as an outsider who's not familiar with the internal aspects of the catechistic debates and discussions within the church. I know you may not be necessarily the most pious person, but you were a political advisor during Pinoy. You come from UST, one of the oldest Catholic universities on earth and the oldest in Asia. What is your take on that part? Is this a kind of a moment of transformation and potentially could make Catholic Church very influential again, like before, as Cardinal Sin was perhaps in
Well,
determining the fate of the Philippine Republic?
Una, Big R, hinihiwalay ko yung influence ng church at yung Catholic vote, no?
Interesting.
Definitely, for now, ay walang Catholic vote, no? Pero merong influence. Nakita mo yan nung panahon ni Cory, nung panahon ng EDSA, no? Nung anti-Marcos struggle. At nakita mo rin yan, halimbawa yung unang pirma. Meron kang, yung nirevive nila yung lumang pirma. Pero yung lumang pirma ni FBR, na suportado ni Cory, no? Ay hinarang ni Cory at saka ni Cardinal Sin. So, ibig sabihin may influence yung simbahan. Lalo na dito sa mga mahalagang issue ng bansa. Ibang usapin yung Catholic vote. Dahil the church wasn't organized that way. At wala pa akong nakitang effort to do that. May kaunting mga political electoral discussions sa mga lay people of the church. Pero wala akong nakitang move para i-consolidate yung simbahan para magkaroon ng Catholic vote. At hindi ko yan nakikita in the future. But the influence is another thing. No? Halimbawa, dito sa EDSA celebration, mukhang ididikit nila yung anti-chacha message together with the church. No? Dito sa EDSA celebration sa 22 to 23, no? Ng February. Pero kung pa lang yan, tingin ko hindi pa yan ganun kalaki dahil nagsisimula pa lang sila mag-scale up. No? Kaya dito sa extrajudicial killings, very strong yung influence yan ng church. So even the Philippine church, together with the Vatican, ay parang merong transition eh. Hindi ko sigurado saan pupunta. Halimbawa, yung kanilang pag-recognize sa LGBTQI na
Right.
dati ay hindi mo maiisip.
It's
Sa
happening.
Vatican, ay medyo merong ngayon. Merong dynamic even within the Vatican. At I'm almost sure even within the church dito, no? Bagamat sometimes mas conservative pa yung Philippine Church kaysa sa Vatican, no? Yun
Yes,
yung
of course. There's especially if you have someone like Pope Francis who come from that
yeah, yeah.
liberation theology almost perhaps
Yeah.
world, right? Yeah.
Pero kahit papaano, even by increments, makakaabot din yung influence ng Vatican dito. Lalo na, meron kang isang prefereti or perhaps even two, no? For the first time, merong dalawang Pilipino na nalilinya as prefereti or possible pope.
Right.
Perhaps
Candidate
not
for
only
the
the
top.
first Filipino Pope, kundi the first Asian Pope.
Asian, yeah.
No? Dahil nasa top 3 ng hierarchy si Cardinal Tagle, 'di ba? Kahit si Cardinal Sin hindi naman umabot ng ganyang kataas, no? Kaya at kung pinag-uusapan natin kanina modernity, si Cardinal Tagle ay isang modern
Yes.
a
And very
modern
charismatic,
priest,
yeah.
no? Hindi yan conservative in the old mode, no? Kaya you might even call him progressive, no? Kaya
And kind of you know, he had to weather the Duterte attacks. You know, he was in the Philippines during a very difficult time. So hindi ito yung tao na madali lang umakyat. This is a person who had to really overcome a lot. So I'm sure that, you know, hindi
like Bishop
masili.
Ambo, the
Yeah,
president
exactly.
of the CBCP ngayon. Tinreten niya ni Digong, di ba? Yan yung Caloocan eh. Diyan nangyari yung marami sa extrajudicial killings. Kaya tumindig yan. At tinreten niya, ni-raid pa yung kanyang bahay sa Caloocan, di ba? Yung kanyang diocese. Yung head ng political affairs ni Digong pumunta ron para kunin yung mga testigo sa pagpatay kay Kian de los Santos. At kinasuhan pa si Senator Risa ng kidnapping dahil kinuha niya yung mga kaibigan ni Kian na nagtestigo doon sa pagpatay. Diba? So, hindi yan medyo na-define yan through struggle. Hindi ito mga nagmimisa lamang, no? Ng mga pare, ng mga obispo. Ito yung talagang tinreten ng isa sa pinaka dangerous president, no, sa ating kasaysayan, no? Perhaps more dangerous than the old Marcos, no? Dahil parang mas maraming allegedly pinapatay. Pero they survive at hindi sila umatras. Kaya ibig sabihin itong nangyayari ngayon na positioning nila sa West Philippine Sea ay is not quite a leap dun sa kanilang political advocacy at sa kanilang political narrative nung panahon ni Digong.
It's a logical next step in a sense.
Yes.
Yeah, we're
Yes.
seeing the logical progression of what has been in the works for quite some
Yes.
time. I
At
like the discussion kasi lumalabas dito na hindi ka Marxista. Like, kasi ayoko nakausap sa mga Marxista. Parang masyado naman kayo anti-religious and all of that. Eh parang kulto din naman kayo mag-isip
alam
minsan.
mo ba, yung una kong training about Marxism, no? 2 weeks. Ang nagturo sa akin mga Jesuit priests led by Father Romeo Intengan. Yan yung head ng mga Jesuits. At alam mo naman
Ito
yung
yung
mga
liberation
Jesuits,
theology kind of thing, right? This is a very
doon ako
progressive.
nagsimula, no, when I was
Right.
young. Liberation Pueblo sa Latin America, liberation theology. Pero yung mga nag-train sa akin na mga Jesuita na hindi mo sasabihin na mga bobo, matatalino yan, very sharp,
Yes,
no?
very smart
Meron nga akong
people.
kilalang Marxist na ang kanyang doctorate Marxism, no?
Right.
May kilala akong Jesuit priest na yung pinag-aralan niya talaga maigi. Doon sa seminar na yon, diyan sa may Novaliches, no? Nakalimutan ko na yung pangalan ng lugar, no? Ay for 2 weeks tinrain kami, no? Yung fundamentals ng Marxism, dialectical and historical materialism.
So
The three
nag-hegel
basic laws, the
Hegel
three
kayo.
basic laws of dialectical and historical materialism, no? The struggle of opposites, the change from quantitative to qualitative, no? And the negation of the negation. No? Pinag-aralan mo talagang tapos yung last 2 days, no? Durugin mo yung pinag-aralan mo. So that's how
New
these
synthesis. Yeah.
Jesuits bago mo kontrahin ang Marxism, dapat kaya mong depensahan, kaya mong ipaliwanag. Then later on, destroy it. The philosophy. No? That's how we were trained before.
We transcend it.
Kaya hindi ko nakakalimutan yun, no? Itong dialectical and historical materialism.
Bakit di mo sinabi yan nung yung pinaka-first interview natin? Remember, I asked about your background. Na ano mo yun? Ngayon, lumalabas na yung side na yan. You didn't say that. So, dapat i-cut out ko, idagdag ko dun sa pinaka-first long conversation natin. Naalala mo when we talk about yung pumunta ka sa Smoky Mountain, yung process of radicalization mo, etc. So, this is the part I didn't know about it. In fairness, even with si Leloy, I know he's not to put it mildly, a kind of a full-fledged, pious man. But in fairness, when we talk about the progressive contribution of the church, especially under the current leadership, he is very fair naman. And I appreciate also this kasi hindi ako komportable sa mga tao na anti-religious and everything like that. And then sabay sila, may sarili silang mga kulto-kulto na, so anyway, I really appreciate this, Secretary Ronald Llamas. We have to have more discussions like this because I think we have to have more faith and strength, no, as we navigate these very difficult times in our country, and also
Yung dati mong sinasabi, balikan natin yung ating mga bayani.
yes. Maraming salamat.
National heroes. Sige, thank
Thank you very
you.
much, Sir
Good
Ronald.
night.
My
Good
pleasure.
night.
Talk to you soon. Talk to you soon. God bless. Pasensya na. Alam ko napahaba ka today kaya madaldal ako para hindi ka mapagod kasi alam ko ang tagal nagdaldal nyo kanina eh.
Okay, madaldal ka naman talaga.
Oo naman. Pero mas madaldal pa ako ngayon. And I'm glad that marami pa rin nanonood sa atin. More than 1,000 people live have been watching us on different platforms. So medyo malaki-laki din yung views natin. It's well, exactly 11 p.m. So on that note, thank you very much, Secretary Ronald Llamas, and hope to catch you soon.
Welcome back to the Philippines, no? Welcome back to the salt mines, no?
Arigato. Namaste. Namaste. Have a good night.